cinematics starts with an idea. That idea gets pitched to a story team, and once that idea becomes strong enough, we put it down in the form of a storyboard. Now storyboards, think of them as a very cheap way to check and see if your idea is going to work as a film. If your idea does not work, easy, you just quickly iterate with new drawings. That's really how we do it. Storyboarding is a way to establish the composition, the pacing, the cinematography, even the musical landscape. You can plan the entire production with storyboards. They're very powerful, especially if you know exactly what you're going to say with words. And what I mean by that, as an example, Leah in this cinematic is terrified of these lesser evils and Asmodan. Now that itself is what we call like a story beat, a simple story beat. Fear. Leah has to look afraid there. So what we do is we convey that by the way Leah cowers, her body language. We do that by her wide-eyed facial expression, and we do that of what type of camera we choose to use to show her. All these things contribute. Now, every artist in cinematics, that's their goal. Every single artist, programmer, it doesn't matter who you are, if you're a modeler, animator, programmer, whatever, all of us, we have to do everything we can to contribute to the story in whatever way possible. So, I'm going to hand it over to Graham, and he's going to talk a little bit how color choice is one of the ways that you can do to enhance story with your discipline.
All right, thanks, James. And what you can see up here, we call the color script. Now, the color script was something that the director sat down very early on in the show, sat with the concept artists, and spent quite a lot of time to develop. Now, there were two reasons that we spent all this time up front. The first one is similar to what James said with the storyboards. The director was able to very easily make changes and decide what he wanted to do with each of these color script frames. And if something wasn't working, he could very easily change it. And the second reason that we created these was to provide solid artistic reference for all of the artists working on the show. And so these frames are from the first section of the color script. And the main story point that we wanted to cover was that we wanted to create this intimate space that Leah and the Black Soulstone were in. And the background is not really important, so it's sort of a mysterious background. Now, once Leah gets into the dream sequence, what we did here was we wanted to create this really open, vast space and create a feeling for Leah that she was alone and isolated in this huge place. But we also chose a lot of low camera angles and some wide-angle lenses to really emphasize how big Asmodan was compared to Leah. Just a few more frames here. And so once the cinematic steps outside here, this is pretty self-explanatory. We really wanted to paint sort of a hell on earth scene, show some very desaturated browns, and contrasted that with the bright, fiery tones. So as I mentioned, the color script frames were pivotal for our production. And they provided reference for all of the artists working on the show. And we referred to them directly when we got into lighting. I actually think it's pretty cool to see how close some of these color script frames are to the original, to the final artwork, as you can see here. You know, with some of these frames, we stayed pretty close. In some of the shots, you know, we decided to go with something different. And it sort of depended on and on how the story was unfolding as we went through the production. So, overall, I would say it's been an extremely successful process for us, and something that we came to rely on throughout all of the Diablo 3 cinematics productions.